Okay, in this video, we're going to take a look at the difference between the frame-by-frame version of animation in Photoshop and the timeline view. So I've opened up this basic rocket launch practice file, and if I go up to Window and Timeline, it's going to open this panel for me that allows me to work with animation. Right now, it's set in the frame-by-frame window where I can see I have a square showing what's happening at a given point in time, and I can make a new one. And in an animation that's complete, you would have a series of, 10 to 100 of these. If I want to switch to the timeline view, which has some benefits depending on what you're working on, and you'll find which one you prefer, I click on that button and it will bring me here. If I ever wanted to convert back to the other view, I would just click down in the bottom corner and I would see those three little squares, and notice it says convert to frame animation. So when you're in this view, I'll just close some of these down. What you'll see is you have a section for each of the layers that you've got in your file. So I see I've got my rocket, I've got my 3, 2, 1, and my launch. And within each of those, you can open them up and you have some other options. So that was my folder. So I have my actual rocket. It gives me some options in terms of my position, opacity, and style. And the options will be a little bit different depending on what the layer is, if it's text and so on. Along the top, you'll see time. Okay, so we can see that we're in 30 frames per second, and you can see this is 1 second, this is 2 seconds, this is 3 seconds, so you can kind of judge where you want things to start and stop based on this timeline. This is your playhead, so you can slide that back and forth, and you can see whatever you're hovering over, you will see on your screen what's happening at that point in time in the animation. So if I wanted to work with my 3, 2, 1 launch, what I would do, I'm going to open this up. Sometimes it's a little difficult if you want to see everything at once. So I would start with my 3 at the beginning. I want to have my 3 visible. I don't need my 2 visible. I'm going to move it over. So I'm just clicking and dragging. I'm going to take my 3. So I want my 3 to show up for a little bit of time and then go away. And when it goes away, I want my 2 to appear. So I'm going to bring this back. I want my 2 to appear for about that length of time. I'm going to slide my 1 over, my 1 layer, and shorten that up a little bit. And then I want it to say launch at the end. So if I take my playhead and scroll it over, I'll see 2, 1, launch. So pretty quick. It's a really quick way that you can actually manage things. So for my rocket, I've got my rocket visible the entire time. And obviously I want that. I want my rocket to be there even when I'm counting down my 3, 2, 1. Move this down a little bit so we can see everything. Okay, so what I need to do though is I want my rocket to start here and end off the screen. So when we actually get to that point in the animation where it launches, I want it to move off the screen. So what we need to do is we need to create what's called keyframes. So I'm going to bring my playhead across to the end of that launch. And this is the point where I'm going to scroll back up. So I'm on my rocket. I'm at the exact point that I want to have my rocket start moving. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to activate the keyframes. So what I want to be adjusting is we have the option of position, opacity, and style. I want to be adjusting its position. When I click on that, notice what happens. It inserts a keyframe for me, and I see that by this little yellow diamond. And I can tell by seeing the yellow diamond here that keyframes are selected right now and activated. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to move over a little bit. And I'm going to move my rocket off. I don't want this visible. Okay, I'm going to have 2 of those layers. Move my rocket up, and notice it automatically gave me a new keyframe there. So what it's going to do is it's going to automatically create a tween in between the keyframes. So when I go back to the beginning, I can press play and I can see 3, 2, 1, launch. There we go.